All right, I hope everybody's signed in. And thank you for coming. Do we have a quorum? We have 5 doctors, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, okay, good. That's the most important thing, right? We can't conduct business without the minimum of 5 positions. So, good afternoon. My name is David Kugler, Chairman of REMAC. It's 2:18. We could just stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for our departed members of service. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you very much for that moment of silence. Starting the meeting. So I hope everybody signed in, because that becomes our official roll call or attendance, except for excuses I've received by email or phone from Dr. Bramante, Politi, Pardo, Dishner, Rowe, Ing, Shearson, and paramedic Paul Dibbler. I need a motion to accept the last meeting's minutes that were sent out. Dr. Kirsten, Dr. Zadler. And what about the attendance? I'll just put you guys to both. Thank you. Okay, so coming in, we got a couple of letters from the New York State Bureau of Compliance. So forgive me, I didn't have an opportunity to print everything this time, so we're just going to be taking a look at them and just reading them out. First one is for, geez, I'm sorry, technologically challenged today. Here it is. So EMT Brian Fernandez of the Bronx, number 452886, has been censured, effective 7/15/23, assessed a civil penalty of $1,000. Penalty was stayed, provided no further violation. For violation of Part New York Part 800.1682. That one is. EMT Vincent Viseglia of Selden, New York, number 310254, for violation of New York Part 800.16A6. His EMT card has been revoked effective 5/4/23. That's over. And there's EMT Robert Ortiz Jr. from Brooklyn, New York, number 378919, surrendered his EMT card 6/1/23 for violation of 10 NYCRR Part 800.16A8. 3 more. We got one. Okay, once again, I'm sorry. And there, I have that's fireman secretary. I'm sorry. So EMT Danielle Winters, Hopewell Junction, New York, EMT number 472680. Suspended for 1 year effective 4/25/23 for violations of Part 800.3 AM, 800.3 AL, 800.3 AO, 800.15 A, and 800.15 B1. Okay. And there's EMT Francisco Garcia, Shirley, New York, 430670. EMT card was revoked 6/7/23 for violation of Part 800.16A5.
Recording in progress.
Oh, you weren't recording. I got to do it all over again. I'm just kidding.
It's good.
And I think this is the last one. EMT Sean Woods from Star Lake, New York, number 405691. Suspended for 1 year effective 6/1/23. The suspension was stayed. Placed on probation for 3 years, effective the same date. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000. This is one as an individual, not an agency. For violation of Part 800.15A1, 800.16A1, and 2B, 800.16A11, and C, and 800.16A11. So lots of suspension. The one of the things that I'll mention is that the state's been very busy. There have been some airway committee requests, which will come up in the Dr. Newbert's report. There was a community question about VOLS sent to the QA/QI committee. I guess Dr. Zaza, you want to talk about it when your report? Okay, great. Malvern Volunteer Ambulance Corps has surrendered their CON. They're no longer functioning as an ambulance agency in the Nassau region. They submitted letters to the state. The state officially pulled their CON like 2 months ago. I think they're in the process of shutting down all their property. The last incoming was Williston Park. Fire department is requested to downgrade from basically to AEMT level of care. That'll come up in new business. Outgoing, there's been constant communication, basically almost daily, regarding general devices, eBridge, communications with various EMS agencies and hospital systems. There's been a request to the New York State Bureau of EMS and the REMAC for the use of the alternative formulary sent by this region for use of Zopanex and benzodiazepines. I'm hearing nothing back from the state. I'm just assuming that they've automatically said it's okay. And then open letter to the region from the chair. I had it in my pile of good intentions of something to do, but I hadn't written it yet, so it'll come out. And then lastly, there was a question from cardiology who reviewing our state protocols. Under pain management was it says you could use NSAIDs, but the cardiologist had addressed a point of concern, which was why give Toradol to somebody who's having a STEMI? You know, they're having pain, it's under pain management. So the pain management protocol was sent to the protocol committee for assessment to consider Toradol for non-cardiac pain as opposed to just pain. Because we don't want to start giving Toradol to somebody who's having an aortic dissection and then create a problem. So that letter went out. On to committee reports. First, I hope that everybody's having a wonderful summer, that you're staying cool, you're enjoying finding time to be with your families. This committee here takes a lot of time, and I appreciate everybody here. And I want you to know that if you need time for yourself and you need to take a break from the committee, that for a meeting or two, that's acceptable, because you need to take care of yourself and your family who allow you to be here. So thank you again. We're going to have, again, in my pile of good intentions, a regional agency medical director update with Q&A. That'll become more pertinent as the RSI committee sort of brings to light their information. eBridge, I'm proud of the hospitals for stepping up. I'm proud of the 6 agencies. I want to just name them because they were our guinea pigs. Atlantic Steamer, East Rockaway, Glencoe Volunteer EMS, North Belmore, the NYU Langone Hospital EMS system, and Vigilant. Without you guys stepping in and testing the system and finding the holes and the problems, we wouldn't be able to go full thickness as we're slowly doing now, August 1st. There's been multiple meetings with everybody asking a ton of questions regarding the general devices program. From how do we put it on our devices to it's not working or whatever. And without the assistance from those folks who we pay to use their service, that's been some help, but without Don Hudson's help, we would be dead in the water. So, Don, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you kudos here. I have to. I think there would be a lot of things not happening if it wasn't for Don, who in his off time actually drove to one of the hospitals, sat with them after work, after hours, had EMS sending test communications to their servers, to their hospital computers to make sure that they were getting signals. So thank you for doing that. You didn't have to do it, and you did just make sure the system's working. So you need to know that I greatly appreciate everything that you're doing. We have a PI committee. This committee is made up of volunteers. All of you are wonderful, and you've chosen to sit here and help us steer EMS in Nassau County. But coming to this one meeting, I'm afraid doesn't seem to be enough. I'm asking, I'm almost pleading and begging if you guys would come participate in the subcommittees where the business takes place before it gets to this committee. And one of those committees that's very, very important so that we maintain high quality of out-of-hospital patient care is the QA/QI committee. Right now, it's a committee of 2 or 3. It used to be much more robust. The participation has gotten less. Please, please, please participate. Even if it's just once or twice a year, it's still better than nothing. And the only thing that we're going to be doing is improving the care for our family and friends and neighbors and for potentially ourselves. That's why we want to do this. That's why we're focusing so hard, and that's why we're working so hard. All the committees are open. There's not one committee in this general committee or anything that we do that's hidden. It's all open and transparent, and they're open for everybody to come to any meeting. Your voice is welcome and appreciated. So, and it's also encouraged. So please come to all the subcommittees. There's a list of them. Let's see.
You send out the invites to everybody?
So if you're interested in joining a committee, you can reach out to me or to Don or to Chuck, and we can get you to that chairman, and they can add you to their list. Honestly, the committees haven't been meeting very frequently, and that brings to light a great problem. Is that you would know if there was a meeting, if they had a meeting. But when it's a committee of one person, there's often no time to, it doesn't make sense to hold a meeting when you're just going to come by yourself. The meetings have to be held in person if you're going to create business. And if it's just a quorum of one, then you may as well be in your living room with a beer talking to yourself. But Grace, thank you. And I think that, so for the members that are committee chairman, I would ask that you please announce your meetings to everybody. And if you need help doing that, we can help you. So absolutely, we'll try to put the meetings on a more regular schedule. Okay. I know the RSI meeting was announced at for this meeting was earlier today. Dr. Newbert's been doing a great job with that, and I think his meetings have been announced, but it's tough. We meet during the week in the middle of the day, and it's hard for people to find time to come. So thank you. Something that's very important. If you could tell your colleagues and tell other physicians, other EMS agency members, when you're communicating with the REMSCO or the REMAC, you have to use the most current communications or contact information. Letters, physical letters have been sent to the prior email address in Mineola, to the prior physical address in Mineola. emails have been sent to the wrong email address. And then people are wondering why they're not getting action on their requests. We can't act on something if we don't receive it. So all the contact information is listed on the website. And it's the email address is remsco@nassauems.org. That is the sort of the opening of the funnel to which all the email will get sorted by the program agency, and it will get delivered to the right person. So if you need to give it a contact email to someone, start with that, or just refer them to our website and let them follow the contact information trail there. I don't want to miss out on something that's important, like a provider issue, a patient complaint, something like that, that may fall through the cracks because somebody's sending information to the wrong place. Something that is also important, I just want to remind everybody once again, we now must continue to meet in person. The quorums have to be an in-person quorum. It can't be counting anybody online. Online is now only for viewing. It's not for question taking. It's not for polling. It's so that we can be in compliance with the New York State open meetings regulation. I don't remember if we brought it up at the last meeting or not, but the New York State law has changed. And it allows for regions to come up with quality indicators or quality things to look at. That's part of the reason why your participation with the quality QA/QI committee is important, so you can help us develop regional quality initiatives. We have eBridge as a tool. Dr. Shearson said back to me when he said he couldn't attend the meeting in person, sent me an email saying that Q&A document I sent out, I didn't include a quality part to that. And he's right. It was a very important omission that I overlooked. Quality is key to keeping everybody safe, keeping our patients safe, keeping our providers safe, and making sure that we're continuing to do the right thing for everyone. So the state law has changed to allow this body to regulate and oversee quality. So we need your help doing it. Are there any questions for me regarding anything that I've mentioned? Okay, good. I hope you're still awake. So moving on to the committee reports, the CMAC will be meeting in September. I don't have a report now, Don. Do you have anything to update?
No.
Being that you're a new big person up there.
You're on a roll today. All right. No, the committee agendas are being finalized and will be posted by the state on their SEMSCO CMAC website once those are gone through the EDCC, which is the legal bureau's authorization process.
Thank you. Yeah, in case anybody didn't know, Don Hudson was appointed at the state level as the chairman of the Training and Education Committee. That's a commissioner of health appointment, and it's also volunteer. But he sits at the highest tier of EMS leadership in the state. I'm proud of the guy. What can I say? Well, great stuff.
Well, subject to.
And that was for you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So moving on, QA/QI, Dr. Zazo.
Yeah, there was one issue that's been worked on and still coming to its resolution. Montauk Fire Department, we had an issue with a patient that apparently had a DNR, and I guess either the family, we can't find the I could find it. I know you could get it, Dave.
Right.
The PCR in the system. Apparently, from what we could discern from this was patient had a DNR in place. I guess either the home health care aide or the family, the patient went into had an event, went into an arrest, called 911, Marshall responded. I guess they initiated, either family member or the home health aide initiated CPR, DNR in progress. Wanta came on scene, and I guess became an issue of what they were looking for, the DNR form, and the family couldn't produce it. That led to more issues. The simple resolution to that at that point would have been full medical control, and then go from there. So there was an issue with the physician of this patient that was asking about education of both fire department and the issue with the home health care aid, if that was the case, we initiated the CPR. So I think just to go back to, and where we bring this, tie this in, at least so we can undo it. We make sure that our medical directors and all our departments make their members aware of the DNR policy, the MOLT policy, and further then have these physicians that are sending patients home with these orders, make sure that either the family or the home health aide, if there is somebody involved, be aware of what's appropriate. I mean, families, you can't help it. Sometimes they're going to panic and call 911. That's going to happen. But we then should be able to put the brakes on when EMS does arrive when we get on scene. So that's where we're working through with that one.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the chairman? All right. So, Dr. Newbert, RSI. Everybody's better put on your seatbelts.
Hi, everybody. All right, let me start with the easier one. We'll do this. So, with the ITEL, that's going really well. I've been coordinating the training with the folks over at the Fire Police Academy. It's been very appreciative and helpful. Also, they've been helping us file all the paperwork with us now. So, thank you very much for that, Tom and Scott. I have 3 more agencies that want to come on board that we have to vote on later. Uniondale, North Merrick, and Farmingdale all submitted proper paperwork, so we can move them into business. Any other questions about IGL? Okay. For RSI, we had 2 meetings, including the one just before this one, regarding the making this operational, since we had voted in the policies and procedures. To the credit of all of the medics and docs and the folks that have been helping with this, we all agreed today that the current setup of the committee is not functioning the way we wanted to, and we also need more physicians involved. So back to what Dr. Cooper was saying earlier, we really need physicians involved in this. In Suffolk County, their RSI committee is 5 physicians and 5 paramedics. So I'm going to put a motion when we get to new business that we redesign the operational committee to be 5 paramedics and 5 doctors plus me as the chair, so it'll be 11 people altogether. And then I need people then to have to apply, the medics and the doctors. I really need doctor input. My doctor colleagues here, please come up to me afterwards or find me if you're interested. Even if you don't want to do our side, I still want you on the committee, so then that way you could be the independent voice or however you want to put it, whatever, but we need doctors involved. So under new business, we're going to redesign the committee so that way we can finish the operational tasks we need to get up and running. Everything's been transparent, and we really want to make sure we do this right. And the folks that we've been working with felt without more doctors involved, we can't do it right. So we're going to make it. We're going to update this in a way that's going to work and keep moving forward, so we can get over the finish line on that. The other thing is that we figured out is that the REMSCO and the REMAC have 2 separate policies regarding RSI. The REMSCO policy was from 2020. The REMAC policy we all approved, and it was two meetings ago that got approved, but it never got brought over. It never got finalized, and it was never sent out to everybody. So I'm going to have a motion also that we adopt the REMAC policy as the policies and procedures for RSI, and then we put the message. We'll send a message over to the REMSCO that we request a.
Yeah, so I would say that just a point of order rather than a motion, only because it's already been a motion. There was a motion made that it was seconded, approved, and voted on and passed.
Okay.
That it just needs, it's a point of order where the policy now needs to be put into the policy manual.
Perfect. Yes, exactly.
And the other policy needs
that
to
way
come out. I don't think we need to have another motion.
Okay, perfect. It was just confusing people to
Right.
both documents still out there. So, perfect. All right. So that's that. We're gonna we're doing we have a lot of really passionate people that want to make sure we do this right, and we all agree that we want to do this right. So that's the next steps to doing that. Appreciate the support. Any questions or concerns on any of that? Timeline, we're still going to move in. We're going to get our side, but we're going to do this right. So we're moving forward, and that's important.
All right, just one other thing. I'm gonna tag on to your message. We're getting 5 docs and 5 medics to the RSI committee. The 5 doctors may or may not include the physicians whose agency they wish to become RSI agencies. So if you're a medical director and you want your agency to do RSI, you must be on the RSI committee. if you're a member of this committee and on the RSI committee and your agency wants to do RSI, I would say that's great. You'd be one of those 5 docs, but it doesn't mean we're going to limit it at 5 docs. It's 5 positions plus the agency medical directors who are doing RSI. So just, we need to be clear on that because I don't want to stop at 5 if we have 10 agencies.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to limit it.
Right.
But yeah, just to understand that, like, approving, like, which courses we're using the digital airway course, how we're, gonna process the credentialing, figuring out, who we're using for training, why there are a lot of parts that we still have to make sure we get, and we need to have input, so that's, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry to.
No, great.
Okay.
I'll write down the leader.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Ryan? Okay, thank you. So I just, I'm sure you saw that email I sent out about the aspirin and Zephyr. So for credentials, I don't think there's any agency, medical director changes these past 2 months. So no business. Policy, Dr. Bermonte and Dr. Dissner are both excused from this meeting. We do have the RSI stuff coming up under new business and some e-bridge stuff, which will come up under communications. Let's see. Dr. Harris, okay. Protocols, policy. RTAC is Ann Glazer. Anybody here representing Ann? Will be report no. Okay,
Just Dr.
communication.
Kugler.
This is
Dave.
the e-bridge communication, yeah.
I'm sorry. Just for the RTAC, more for information only, through the SEMSCO, I've been appointed to a trauma working group with the State Advisory Trauma Committee, the STAC, I
Okay.
think they call it. They're currently looking at the red and yellow box, American College with Surgeons trauma criteria, and putting together an educational package that allows for regions to then sort of tailor it to their needs. Obviously the criteria for trauma are what they are. The questions that come up as far as diverting from a level 1 to a level 2 and everything that, all the other regions in this one still continue to talk about, rightfully so. Will be built in there, but not really as a dictate from the state or from STAC, but down to the region to put their own variations on who does what locally. So if our regional trauma advisory committee has any input, I would hope they've been on that committee, but I don't know for certain.
I think Dr. Bank from North Shore University Hospital chairs the stack,
Right.
and he's a Nassau guy, so
Excellent.
yeah, I'll try to reach out to him.
You got it. Dr. Bank.
Okay. Dr. Joshua Kugler, do you want to give the update? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I think we have a bunch under unfinished business that we'll take up, but I just want to say in advance, thank you for everyone's attention to the e-bridge platform and thanks to David Kugler, Don Hudson, and all those folks who are really moving things forward. We appreciate it. We'll take it up under unfinished business.
Okay. The NASPA EMS redesign tag, Dr. Newbert or Chief Otero. Okay, Bremsco, Chairman Mackey.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kugler. Yeah, thank you all once again for all the work on the e-bridge, especially once again, Don. Setting up with the training sessions as a couple of months, and getting all the passwords and usernames and stuff out there. Seems like most of the, or a lot of the issues have been addressed. Once again, probably the issues in the future. But it seems to be moving along well. We have all the agencies and stuff involved, and once again, I'm looking forward to utilizing it. On the council side, we're working with Don and the treasurer and stuff. Council vouchers are once again being sent up to New York State for reimbursement of the expenses over the past several months. Just as far as you mentioned earlier, We've had a number of agency downgrades due to inspection issues, mostly involving the controlled substances. We really ask the agencies, once again, if they're notified or have pending inspections that are due, please reach out to us if you're not quite sure. If there's issues, once again, rather than being downgraded and putting the system at risk. Matrix changes have been pretty much updated for most of the agencies. The agencies that requested downgrades in the matrix have been sent forward. And once again, the VAC closing, once again, has been forwarded also to upgrade and to make necessary changes in order to cover the village of Malvern. I want to thank Colonel Harra. Once again, the Disaster Preparedness Committee has been meeting for the past 8 months or so. Involves multiple different agencies, OEM, Homeland, REMSCO, REMAC, as well as the police department and the fire commission. We are currently having a meeting this Friday, and hopefully, if all of the issues are tied up, we're looking to have a special council meeting to look at the plan for adoption in September. Hopefully on August 25th. That is tentative only. Once again, once we get past the meeting on Thursday, if everything is in order, we will look to do that. And that will be,
Just to clarify, when exactly is the meeting coming up to review this?
the Friday here at OEM, once again, we'll do the Finance Committee meeting once again. And that will be 10 o'clock of the committee itself. And then if everything goes along and all the necessary upgrades and additions or amendments are in place, we're looking to have a council meeting strictly for that August 25th at the Public Safety Center at 10 o'clock also. Notice will be sent out into the meeting on Monday if once again you're in the position to once again roll it out for adoption by the committee or by the REMSCO. Council seat constituency letters are due for those seats that are expiring on December 31st. We'd like to have them in by September 1st, along with their constituency letter of recommendation as well as resumes, so that the membership committee can review everything and have it ready to be adopted by the end of the year. I was notified by Nassau County. I sent them a letter once again looking at the possibility of establishing a U.S. memorial site in Nassau County. They've approved the site over at Eisenhower Park. I've spoken with the Deputy Commissioner over there of Parks, and we look to set up a committee to once again look at a design for a potential memorial and the funding to be able to do that, to honor and once again memorialize those members of our service and have given the ultimate sacrifice. That's pretty much good on that. Thank you.
All right, Don, you're up.
Even quicker, I defer to the E-Bridge topic.
Okay. And then anybody here from the fire marshal's office? Okay. Wow. Rudy, baby. We're up to unfinished business. Any questions for the chairman of the committees or the committees before we move on to the unfinished business? Yeah. Okay, great. So any bridge updates? I'll tell you what I know, and then Don can fill you in on the rest, and Josh as well. We did great. The first month in. It was started with fits and starts, where we were trying to figure out how to acknowledge units. There were issues peppered throughout the entirety of the usage process. And I think they're starting to get ironed out, which is great. And now, as of August 1st, we're slowly releasing user IDs and logins to the remainder of the 84 agencies in the region. It's, Don, I think you said it was 2,500 user IDs, something like that.
So yeah, to date, we have 15 agencies who've gotten their IDs. That's
Wow.
10 above, literally since Monday, the 5 that started with the pilot. I'm sorry, 6 that started with the pilot. So 130 ambulances would be onboarded of the approximately 650 that will be in the system come its culmination. So we had 450 people attend the training via webinar. Those video links and the accompanying documents have been posted on nassaems.org to the region's YouTube channel. And again, the documents are up on the website. To date, there's 504 notifications and cases back and forth between medical control, the hospitals and field units, 84 of them via video conference. Are you trying to type all that?
That's great. No, I got
Oh,
it. I typed faster than I write. It was great for writing papers in college. So any questions about eBridge? Any problems about eBridge? So something I sent out at sort of a last minute to everybody was a Q&A. We have an eBridge policy, and that allowed us to move forward. That allowed the hospitals to hang their hats on something so they could get their purchasing people to pay the bill. The policy has to be living and breathing because we're still learning as we're going. So rather than write a full-on policy and then every 2 months change the policy, then change our manual, and we decided it would be easier to write a question and answer sort of thing that would serve as a policy until it's fully vetted and clarified and we're up and running with all the EMS agencies in the region, using it, breaking it, fixing it, and then how we solve those problems. So I hope everybody here got a chance to look at the Q&A. It has the words draft on it. And if you didn't get it, just put it to me after the meeting and I'll send you a copy. Because we need everybody's input, like everything we do here. It's only so good, but it's not great unless everybody says something. Even if you say it's good, that helps make it better because now I know that we're on the right track. If you don't say anything, but then it sucks for your agency, well then you're hurting both the region and your agency and potentially your patients. So it goes for everyone. Where Don finally got a hold of one of the commercial agencies that was non-participatory, helping them realize that when you respond within Nassau County, it's this region's policy that you generate an eBridge notification that goes to medical control for situational awareness. I don't know what you're getting dispatched to, but we sure should know that you're responding to a hospital with a patient in extremis, so that when 4 other ambulances are heading that way, maybe somebody could let them know that they may have to wait a little bit because there's a patient ahead of them or a patient en route. So please give your feedback. Again, we don't need a motion on this because it's not a final policy, but it's a guidance document that's intended to become policy. And when we're done working on it, we'll bring it back to the committee for a motion and approval. So please, 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 give me feedback on this. No. Yes.
Are any hospitals currently, I know we went one of the around and kind of reading through the notifications now. One thing they identified was it would be helpful to do FaceTime and talk to the crews if we had a question. Are any hospitals currently using any sort of microphone or camera installed in the
Our timer is working, we tend not to want to use it, think about that. So yeah, we can talk to that. We can talk to this.
else.
Great.
So
Collaboration.
we're having the same issue where we put our camera, we have a camera, but where we put it, you're going to see our other patients. So we are going to look about moving that in the future.
So that's good. That's a best practice that you guys are collaborating on. And you come back to the committee and you'll let us know what it is. And then maybe we could make that as a recommendation, saying it's best to have the camera pointed in a direction that's not at a patient or something like that. But just remember, something that I alluded to in the Q&A is everything that we say on that eBridge platform disappears. It doesn't stay on the device that has the camera on it or whatever. It disappears off into a server, and it's all HIPAA protected patient care information. So even if there happens to be background patient information, that stays with the hospital. So the hospital owns its own server. They keep that data. The only other people that see that would be medical control for medical control quality and the region, so that we can keep track in case there's a complaint. For example, the hospital is just not acknowledging their messages, or the hospital could say, we've been trying to reach this ambulance unit over and over again. Every time they call us, they don't respond back. And then we could develop some education and training. So it helps us be the impartial middle person when it comes to problems. Yes.
We blur out the background of the Zoom meeting. You know, Zoom, you blur out the background, just have the person in front.
Well, the platform actually that eBridge uses is Zoom.
Yeah, so you can blur it and just have
Right.
one out there, you know.
Absolutely.
You have everything in the background blurred.
Absolutely. But if you're very concerned about the image going forward, you could, on the hospital side, you could just use the audio and have the EMS unit use the video and the audio. So you can see them, but they don't necessarily need to see you. But if you want to have the patient mirror your activities, like if you're doing a mini strokes evaluation, it's best to have a camera. So, and then moving forward, if we ever get to the ET3 part of this, you could use it for patient assessment and having a face-to-face with a patient. And so having a camera is always a good idea, but it's not, it's up to the level of your comfort for your facility. But thank you for that. Yeah.
I just want to comment on something you said as far as the transmission data and storing it is perspective. It is your perspective, but if it is in regards to an agency or the same point that you related to crime, it is discoverable.
So I'm not a lawyer. I can't, but I know anything can be obtained with a court order.
But I think it is,
So,
they will have to get the cost.
right, and then,
But it is
Right.
discoverable.
right, and so, but I, at that point, I can't talk to it because I'm not an attorney, but I would say that knowing that,
Anything related to the patient care or transport is discoverable. I think that's just that should be noted to the agency, so the agencies are aware that anything they do of it is discoverable. Anything that you, from the start of the call to the 911 call,
looking at that,
to the dispatch information is all discoverable. But to that note, the agencies and providers
but
should
so
be
the
made aware.
VCR is discoverable. Your
Everything's
radio
discoverable,
communication is
Doc, but
discoverable.
it should be made aware.
Okay.
They're aware of this communication now. And we never really asked before to provide.
Got it.
Radio.
Let's make our providers aware of that.
Okay, that's fair.
That's a good piece.
So
Okay. Yeah, done.
in the information that went out to the agencies was that piece, because it had come up on all 3 live webinars, was the question about what device should be using, whether it's agency owned or personal owned. The suggestion is that the preference should be towards agency owned devices, obviously for the reason. The reality is we live in New York, everyone's going to get sued for everything, and then the lawyers go back and forth about who gets what. As far as what's discoverable, whether it's on an agency device or the personal device, the agencies have been advised by General Devices, but obviously it should be an ongoing conversation with their attorneys about, since everything disappears off the device and nothing ever truly touches the device, meaning pictures, video, everything exists only within the app. It doesn't actually hit the tablet or device that it's on. The agency really should know that, as they've been advised, because if the question comes that, hey, I want Don Hudson's phone because he got a call on it, then they should know, as their attorney should know in the region, and I'm sure this will be an ongoing thing as bail reform has been, as far as there's nothing on my device. So no, that's going to be what my attorney says, and then the attorneys do what attorneys do. So, obviously, this isn't new per se, because we've been dealing with it with telephone and radio since they've been recorded. Obviously, as this is another foray into other video and telecommunications platforms that are somewhat alien, so those conversations need to be had. But yeah, I mean, as far as an agency, check with their attorney. They can, take the information they've been given and use that. Please continue to ask questions, and we'll include that in further communications.
So the information that's kept at the region is for quality purposes only. So I think you need a very special court order for quality data as opposed to patient care data. Yeah,
They'll try and get it. anyway.
They're gonna try.
They'll try and get it anyway.
we can certainly.
Yeah, they'll try and get it anyway.
Certainly, right, absolutely. Yeah, just like they named the unknown doctor or they named the unknown paramedic.
I'm speaking to Boston and civil, I'm talking about right now. Pregnant is being targeted a lot of the time, the agency, which are victims of a crime or criminals themselves.
Okay.
And once those things go to court and available, they became aware of their existence, and if they don't provide them, they're effectively in contaminants. And okay, 50 days, so it's not a matter of they're going after somebody, and it's just a matter of all the data, all the documents, everything connected to this state is discovered. Okay, so and sometimes simply saying it doesn't exist, well, then it doesn't exist, and it doesn't exist. But it's not so much of whether they're confiscating devices or anything like that. That's not really what I'm going with. It's just that, if you're transporting a guy who just killed family in TV.
Allegedly.
That is a good chance that's family.
Great. All right, well, thank you for that. And maybe what I'll do is I'll draft a Q&A section and I'll send it to you guys and you can have yours. Yeah.
I have a question. So from a hospital point of view, can the hospital customize the e-bridge device to what?
So that's a great question. And you guys own your half of that. So the set notifications are the set notifications. So if we have a STEMI, a trauma, a stroke, that's what the region said. That's what eBridge set for the region. And those are the notifications you're going to receive. How you behave based on those notifications is on the hospital side is completely customizable for you. So with that, there's been a question about, we get all these notifications and we're sick of it. We don't want to have to acknowledge every notification. So I did address that as a follow-up. And basically, it's like getting any notification, you're responsible for it, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, but we can't make medical control chase everything, especially if you have an ALS/BLS low priority notification for a stub toe. I'm not gonna make their very busy operators phone your ER to take your charge nurse away from triaging a trauma patient to answer a phone for somebody who's coming with an ETA of 10 minutes with a stub toe. It makes no sense. It's not good medicine. So you're right. So the hospitals can configure the low priority, not urgent cases, ask general devices to make the volume a little lower, but it doesn't mean you're on your machines. You could have it just blink, but you are responsible for it. It just doesn't mean you're going to get a follow-up phone call for it, right? So, and just on the caveat to that, we know sometimes, even as a pre-hospital provider, you get the dispatch for somebody bleeding, and it's bleeding because they've been shot 10 times, but it doesn't come over as that, where they're bleeding because they're on Coumadin and they fell and hit their head and half their blood volume is laying on the floor next to them, but it's the bleeding fault. Right, so we only know what we know. So the BLS provider may not recognize the acuity of the patient, and so by looking at the patient's age and chief complaint and the BLS provider hitting low, you may not feel inclined to acknowledge the the notification, and nor do you have to, based on this regional QA, QI, but you're still responsible for the patient, as you would anyway, because the patient's still coming to your facility. Right? So, it's just one more thing. So maybe in retrospect, if the nurse has an opportunity to go back through and look at the different low priority calls that are coming. It doesn't mean the ambulance is not gonna come if you don't acknowledge it. It just means that, you didn't acknowledge, you didn't let the ambulance know that you're aware that they're coming. That's all that acknowledgement means. Right? So you can modify it in that regard, but you can't modify the notification buttons that we
So you can modify to say you don't have.
The high priority ones, you have to acknowledge
That way.
without a doubt. And then the low priority ones, you can ask general devices to make it less uncomfortable to get the alert. Absolutely. Because as a region, we're saying that that's okay. But what we're also saying is, as a hospital receiving a notification, you're still responsible for that notification. Because not everybody is as clinically savvy as everybody else, and we have newer providers who are just as responsible for the patient as the more seasoned provider, and they may not recognize the acuity of the patient before them, and just may minimize the patient's complaints, where as a more seasoned provider or more seasoned clinician would say, that's actually, I saw this once before, and you're actually quite sick. So that's the reason why we say you're still responsible for the notification. And it's as if medical control called you up, like we have been doing now. For the other hospitals, medical control calls you up, says, yeah, 65 male knee pain. It could be gout, it could be, because he had his leg cut off. You won't get that, but you can always reach back. The one good thing is you can reach back out to the unit to clarify. Yeah, no, thank you. I hope I answered the question a little bit. Okay. And the other questions? Okay, again, it's a work in progress, and just like this discovery thing, that's eye-opening for me, but it's true. So thank you for that. All right, Josh, was there anything else? Okay, so I mean, the more discussion we have and the more back and forth, I think the more we're all gonna learn from each other's problem, like Dr. Gujral, you guys were all talking about the best practice for video communication. I mean, that's what this is all about. That's what this meeting is for, to help us continue to grow and develop. So thank you.
Just two last
You
things.
can't say anything.
One go. Question about the drop dead date.
Oh, thank you. I totally forgot. So the plan was to have a hard start date of July 1st for the test agencies in the hospitals, and then a hard start date for the entire region, August 1st. It's not happening. We're being realistic. We're having it was a soft hard date, meaning we're starting to roll everybody in August 1st, with the hopes that we're going to have everybody fully on board by September 1st. We are making that the mandatory hard date, knowing that there may be one or two agencies as outliers. But for the really big agencies that have plenty of infrastructure, that shouldn't be an issue. For the agencies that are very busy, that shouldn't be an issue. But I do expect that there's some agencies that run 200 or 300 calls a year. They may be a little bit slower to come online. That's not going to greatly affect the system. It will help bring you up to speed. But for everybody else, by September 1st, we do need you to be up and running. And by slowly bringing everybody in, it's going to allow us to keep breaking the system. As the volume picks up, we're going to find more and more problems, and we'll have to fix them. We'll have to adjust our Q&A document, and we need to keep getting feedback from you. Okay, so thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, we're going to slowly bring everybody in. And I think it's gonna be great. You guys are gonna be very pleased.
And then the second thing is to the hospitals, Dana Cortopasco is going to reach out to the ED directors and the emergency department committee, but to any of the hospitals, if you or your staff have any problems, questions or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll send you somebody to sit with you and, literally hold your hand and walk you through the process. So, and as already Dr. Ting and everyone's been discussing internally, there's a lot of questions that'll come up, and rightfully so, about device placement, who's doing what, who answers what, who acknowledges what. That's the intention of the pilot program. So many of the hospitals already, sort of either over that hump or knee deep in that trench. But obviously, as this expands, those conversations need to continue. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, and this is part one of 100 of making a system in Nassau County. And it's so far, you guys are doing great and it's starting to work. So thank you. Any other comments or questions on eBridge? Okay, moving on. So we have some, I guess, VLSI gel I have under old business, but it's really new business. Right, we have 3 more agencies to approve.
You need now North American Farm.
All right, and so finishing up old business. Is there any other old business that I didn't bring up? Okay, moving to new business. I need a motion to approve the Williston Park downgrade to AEMT level. Dr. Gershon, Dr. Hubert. Anybody opposed? Okay, policy updates for RSI and iGel. So you want to start with the iGel?
Sure, I don't need to
Okay,
approve Uniondale, North American Farmingdale to be part of the pilot.
okay, that comes as a seconded motion from the Airway Committee. I need a second. Dr. Gershon again, of course, the anesthesiologist. Okay, anybody opposed? And that's to clarify, North America, Farmingdale, Uniondale Fire Department coming up to the iGel.
Yep.
Okay, and then, did you want to make your proposal for the RSI committee?
Yeah.
Okay,
So the new makeup of the RSI committee would be 5 positions, 5 medics, plus the chair, and all agency medical directors that are participating will all be there. That's how it is.
does anybody have any questions on the motion from the RSI committee chair? Okay, Josh.
That point of clarification, I think was already mentioned, but 5 positions can be one of the 5 medical directors.
Yes, plus that and that chair.
Yeah, because in order for your agency to be an RSI agency,
Must be.
your position must be on the committee. So if we limit it to 5, we're only gonna have 5 RSI agencies in that county. So, minimum of 5.
Yeah, so then is it the voting membership of that committee is 5 positions, 5 medics? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is it because you're gonna have at least 5 doctors on there by virtue of the fact that you mandatorily have to have them?
Good question. I don't know.
Just for clarity.
Dr. Ryan?
How many agencies total are in that county?
Depends how you count
It
them.
depends. There's a couple
92.
that may or may not count. One was just removed.
Oh, no, I don't.
I think it's like 86 or 87.
So let's say half of them want to.
Where it'll probably be like 15.
At most.
Just don't have that. This could be overwhelmingly large committee.
Right, right.
Every mandate, every, agency that takes it on. We'll have to go through.
The question isn't how many medical agencies and how many medical directors there are.
Only members of 5 and 5.
Many who share, so.
And then the other ones are part of the committee, but we don't, they're not the voting part. That's.
Thank you.
That's
Once in a while.
So that makes sense, everybody?
Yeah, and I don't know, Jim, I'm not sure if you heard it. If we have, in this region, right, there's about, like 2 handfuls of doctors that are medical directors. And so they cover multiple agencies, and so you can represent multiple agencies at the committee. So I don't think it would be as overwhelming as you think.
Yeah, I just remember, I put numbers in the seventies, I said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would actually, I would convene the REMAC meeting at the same time, just so we can have.
You'll have the same five.
Yeah.
But,
70 something agencies, 5 medical directors.
yeah, if we had 70 medical directors, imagine that. But, so,
Voting members are 5 paramedics, 5 doctors, and a chair.
okay, perfect. That's your quorum.
All other doctors that are participating are members but non-voting. Then that's something.
Okay. Anybody have a question on the motion? Okay, should we do, I'm not gonna do roll call. Is there anybody abstain, any voting member abstain from the policy? Or anybody say nay to the policy? So it's a universal yes. Okay, thank you so much. So that motion passes. Thank you, thank you. And is there any other new business? Yeah, Chuck.
I just received this about 5 minutes ago.
It's just in.
I'll bring it to you, maybe someone can bring the switchboard. An agency just contacted me. As you know, we've had a number of agencies in the past year or so that have changed, transferred their authority, either the fire department to fire districts. And when the agency just contacted me, they wanted to advise that once again, when they change the transfer of authority, they also must change their CME program paperwork. Currently, one of the agencies is ran into an issue where some of the people were downgraded. They transferred their authority from a fire department to a fire district, and their paperwork was rejected for their CME approval. I don't know if you were aware of any of that from the training aspect or.
Now, if you can send it to me, that'd be great.
Okay.
But when somebody transfers, they're advised that they have to, they're
Yeah.
they're clear, limited lead license, they're narcotics, controlled substances. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things you have to sew together.
More agencies are taking on full-time employees or once again, paid employees and stuff, they're to transfer from the department to the district.
Dr. Before you leave, did you sign in?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'll get you that information.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Oh, no, everybody from Newmark is leaving. Guys, something's added. Okay.
They weren't just downgraded.
Yeah, moving the policy over, that we don't have to put a vote on that, instead, right? The RSI policy procedures that got,
No, that was already approved.
okay, but we just have to make sure that gets.
Yeah, it's just a clerical error. Perfectly. And the program agency has to fix the documentation.
I'll work on it.
The secretary is the program agency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join us today.
Okay, but it's something bad going on, it's like, you guys are on your phones and everybody from Newmark just bolted. Okay, I hope not. All right, so I hope everybody's safe. Is there any other new business? Thank you, Chairman Maxwell. Yeah, Don.
The Wilson Park request for AMT.
Oh, we did that. That was the first thing I did.
Don?
Dr. Kirkman and Dr. Hoover
Love it.
already,
Sorry.
okay, no, I went through it quick. Yeah, but pay attention.
You know,
Um,
probably updating my diary after your kudos and applause. Sorry.
yeah. You have it so full of my hot air. that,
Right, yeah.
All right, and anything else for the
Glassy
good of
eye.
the order for the committee? Anything? I want to thank you all again for coming. Thank you for spending your afternoon here with me. Just remember your attendance. We're going to be voting on attendance and membership at the next meeting. If you want to be the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, submit your nominations. For the whole meeting. All right, see you guys in 2 months.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, I need a motion to adjourn. Everybody. Okay, great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.